Welcome to Two Chicks and a Horror Flick, a weekly horror movie review podcast. I'm Tawny Ray.
And I'm Felicia Connor. Subscribe to get new episodes every Wednesday. We dive into trivia, drink a little whiskey, and of course, give our no BS opinions.
Join our Discord server or message us on social media to talk all things scary.
And if you like the show, consider supporting us on Patreon.
You can find all these links on our website, twochicksandahorrorflick.com. Thanks for listening.
Now let's get scared.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're going to be talking about Alien Romulus today from this year, the year of our Lord, 2024. But before we get into all that, Felicia, what are you drinking?
The year of our Lord. I am drinking a giant thing of lemon water.
Nice.
Yeah.
I need to get Jade on the lemon water.
Good. I'm feeling really good without alcohol. I'm telling you, I've been many days. I sent you a picture.
You did.
And I do feel more focused. I feel like I sleep better. I feel like I have more energy. I exercised yesterday and I was looking forward to it. This is like unheard of for me. So
amazing.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Amazing. I, on the other hand, have been drinking and I feel bad. I feel like garbage. So the exact opposite and ready to get back on the not drinking train.
So what are you drinking tonight? Water?
I have some water. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. I did have a couple of drinks earlier today. We went to a baby shower and that was really fun. But
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Felicia, what's your update? What have you been doing?
I would say the complete opposite in the sense that I've been working. I kind of took, I was telling Tawny earlier, took a bite of more than I could chew. I don't know, whatever that thing is. But I had underestimated a project I agreed to do in, a little under a couple weeks. And I've been working all weekend, 8 hours a day, just trying to get this training done before Monday. So I got it done and I'm happy, but I've been doing that. The only other thing I've been doing, because I've literally been working every single night, is watching Maid. Have you seen Maid? Maid. It's about, I believe it's a true story based on the book about this woman's life who was a maid, but the main, sorry guys, my mind is like slow. The main portion of it is she escaped an abusive relationship and just gives you an amazing insight into when women do, and she's a single mom, escape these relationships, like what's available to them and how difficult it is. Because people can say, oh, why would you stay with that person? Just leave. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, this is what just leaving looks like. And you don't have a support system and you don't have any money and it's incredible and so infuriating. I feel like some of the people that are in her life, I've experienced this. And so I get really triggered and angry, but it's excellently acted and a really good show called Maid.
Is that the one on Netflix?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I haven't seen it, but
I've cried a lot too.
Yeah, I've heard that it's like heavy. It's a heavy show, and so that
it's heavy. It's heavy and infuriating, and I believe it's all true. So I'm just waiting to get to the end, and I just hope she comes out on top.
As far as like what I've watched, I only have a couple of updates, and it's we saw Deadpool versus it's Deadpool and Wolverine yesterday in the theaters, and that was so fun and funny. It was really better than I thought it was going to be, so recommend that.
Nice. Steve wants to watch that really bad.
Yeah, have you guys seen the first two? I would guess.
Yes, with Deadpool, yeah, we really like him. Yeah,
he's great. It's a great character, great movies, and I wasn't so sure about a third movie, but both Bryce, Jade's brother, and Jade said that they think it's their favorite of the three, which I was like, that's a crazy thing to say. I mean, I don't know that I like disagree necessarily, but like a third movie in a, series of movies coming out on top. Like, that's crazy. So, but it was really fun. It was a really fun and funny movie.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, that was great. And then we talked about this. So we recorded with a podcast on Elm Street, which is not live, and I'm not sure when it will be live, but I mentioned this to you there, but I'm going to say it again for our listeners, and because it ties into this movie. I watched Turtles All the Way Down on Max, and it is so fucking good. It was an amazing movie. It's a coming of age like dramedy about a teenage girl with OCD, and it is just phenomenal. It's got a little bit of everything in it. I cried, I laughed. I made Jade watch it because I watched it by myself the first time. Made him watch it. He loved it. So good. But the main actress in that is in this movie. She is Kay, Isabella Merced. She is the pregnant woman in this movie, Alien Romulus.
Oh, okay.
And so Jade and I are sitting there in the theater, and she comes up, and it took us a couple of like shots. Because at first we were like, she looks kind of familiar. But then we got a really good shot of her face, and we both like looked at each other. We were like, there's our girl from that movie that we just watched, Turtles All the Way Down. We recorded with a podcast on Elm Street. We talked about stop motion on their podcast. So we'll post on social media when that is live and make sure you guys all have a chance to go check that out. So that was a really fun conversation too.
Yeah. And did we already mention the mental health panel that we did too?
I don't think so. I think we mentioned it on their podcast. And so that's why we are thinking we might have. So do you want to talk about that?
We were invited to be guests on this mental health panel led by Psychology for Geeks. And it was so much fun. We were the only horror movie podcast. We were just like horror lovers. And then they had mental health professionals. And some of them, they like use horror movie analogies, or the one person had props and stuff to kind of explain different mental health things that you're experiencing. I know I'm not making any type of sense, but it was so cool because I didn't even realize that exists, all the way to the host who hates horror. She does not like being scared and could not understand why we like being scared. So it was very cool. And Hope was there. You'll remember her from she was on our podcast for the episode Popcorn. Mm-hmm. And then we did an episode with her and the team Jaguar Sharks, which is part of Film Rescue. But anyways, you'll remember all of that. She's amazing. The whole panel was amazing. So definitely we will be posting that. It's not going to release until October. So once they release the episode, we'll be posting about it. Check it out because it was really interesting. I really loved hearing everybody else, what they brought to the table, all the interesting stuff that they were doing and their takes on different things. It was super cool.
Yeah, I even like found myself back in a conversation with friends before we were watching Alien Romulus where I brought up the whole, because we were talking about reading horror books and, you know, that experience. And I was like, we just had like an amazingly pertinent conversation about this on this mental health panel. And because we get into kind of the different media that you can engage in that can be horror content and how that affected us all differently. And it was just really, really cool and interesting. So yeah, super excited for that.
That was fun. I brought it up and then I was barely able to speak about it. I'm just tired.
Good.
I'm tired, but I'm excited too.
Yeah, you had a long weekend of work.
I'm tired, but I'm excited to talk to you. We went and saw the 8:50 showing of this movie last night, and I don't know that was a good idea. And then there was monsoons, and the wind was so intense that it sounded like somebody was trying to get in our front door. So the dog kept barking, and I was just like, and then we had to be up at 7 a.m. to get over to Hebrew school, and so I'm just wah. Thanks. I'm done.
That's fine. You can keep whining to me.
Wow. Oh, whining.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh.
Yes. Ooh.
Deep breath.
8:50 is a little too fucking late. We did the 8:25 showing on a Friday night, and I was like, sent my friends. I'm like, anything beyond that, because there were other options. There was like 9:30, 10:30. I was like, anything after 8:25, too late. Can't do it.
Too late. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-mm. Okay, so should we get started?
Let's get into it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yes.
We're doing it. Okay, so again, we are talking about Alien Romulus from 2024 this year, and it just came out. We're recording this the weekend of opening weekend. So that's exciting. And
yes.
It'll be live right after the fact. So yeah, I was surprised at how much trivia there was for this being such a brand new movie.
Probably because of all of the whole franchise, huh? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. And I think this has also been in the works for probably a long time. And also it's just a really big franchise. It's not like a one-off, what's the word? Like original. It's not like an original movie that people are having to pull up trivia for. So, all right. The director is Fede Álvarez. And I have to say, I have been saying his name wrong my whole life. And so I apologize. I'm a dum-dum. It's Fede Álvarez.
Fede. Okay.
He also directed Don't Breathe and Evil Dead from 2013, the remake. So as far as cast, we have Kaylee Spaney as Rain, our main protagonist. We have David Johnson as Andy, Archie Renault as Tyler, Isabella Merced as Kay, who I mentioned earlier, Spike Fern, who played Bjorn, and Eileen Wu, who played Navarro. As far as scores, IMDb, we have a 7.5 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is an 81%.
Wow.
Yeah. And Letterboxd is a 3.7 out of 5.
Huh. Okay.
For budget and box office, we've got 80 million budget.
Wow. Sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me.
It's just great. No.
It's like was a big budget compared to a lot of the movies we watch.
Yeah, definitely. And even that though, it's made 108 million in its first. It's only been out for 3 or 4 days. So
wow.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I think this is going to be poised to be a big movie. Like it's going to rake in some fucking dollars for sure. Okay, so here's my quick little synopsis. While scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station, a group of young space colonizers come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe.
Yeah, nice. Ooh, I wonder which terrifying life form you're talking about.
Which one could it be?
The most terrifying. I don't know.
So from here, if you have not seen this movie and you don't want it spoiled, turn back. We're going to spoil the shit out of it. Mm-hmm. And also, I just want to say that I am probably going to spoil the shit out of the rest of the franchise with some of my trivia and some of the things I'm going to say. So if you don't want probably all the fucking Alien movies ruined for you, turn back now. Come back later. And also, I kind of considered, I was like, maybe this is one of those where we should do a step-by-step kind of quick synopsis of the plot. But I couldn't figure out how to do that in a way that it was concise and made sense. So we're really going to just assume that you've seen the movie, which we do normally. But
Oh, yeah. Because, we could be like, there's these kids on this planet.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to be working anymore in the mines. So they were going to go up to the wreckage of the Nostromo and steal the cryosleep so they could book it out of that universe.
The thing is,
that's the whole beginning.
See, I was doing that too. And I was like realizing that there's so much to explain because it's not just this movie. It's like the lore of this franchise that you really kind of have to understand. And that would be really hard to kind of explain step by step. So anyway, that's why we're going to just spoil everything and just no holds barred. Sorry, everybody. But with that being said, Felicia, kick us off. What did you think about this movie?
Oh, man. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this movie. I had fun. With it. I really liked it. I walked away really happy. The reason I paused is I don't think I walked away with oh man, that was fucking great, like how I feel with some movies. But I walked away all jazzed up and was talking about it, and I was excited about it. So I'm trying to think of what I would compare it to, like the feeling. I think there was a lot of nostalgia wrapped up into it too. Yeah. So I just was excited, and I had a fun time. I had a really fun time. There were some pieces where I was like, okay, but it was fun. So I wasn't worried about it. And I absolutely loved the aliens. So, man, I loved all of them. So I was really excited about that. And then a new alien, which, I'm like, oh no, what's this going to look like?
Yeah.
That shit was scary and disgusting. And I was so happy with it. So
yes, me too. I was also like, oh God, no, please don't fuck this up. And like the last 10 minutes, don't have it be stupid.
I think the beginning of it, I was watching it and I was interested, and I don't want to say bored, not at all bored, but just kind of listening, just going on and on. But what I really enjoyed, and then I'll stop so you can talk too, is how that beginning was, I don't want to say slow, but it was just, it was just this story, and here they are and they're going here. And that's what the first one did too.
Yeah.
So it was I love how they integrated both, how they called back to the original, and how it really was a lot like the original in those different aspects. And so I was watching, I was like, okay, this is cool. I was interested, but it wasn't like, and then shit started to go down, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd you feel?
Well, first I want to know how Steve felt.
He enjoyed it as well. He really liked it. Yeah. Okay. He did say, and I was like, oh, I hope you like it. And he goes, well, we know I'll like it more than Nope.
Steve, don't say it.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, I know I probably won't like it more than Nope. Not that I won't like it, but he really liked it. Yeah, he likes the alien movies too. So he thought they did a good job. And he said the same thing. He liked how it really it was very similar to the first one as far as look and feel, pacing, being able to see all the different pieces and callbacks. I know it's not callbacks, but
yeah, like Easter eggs.
Yeah, Easter eggs of the first movie. He really enjoyed all of that.
I think callbacks is also an acceptable term for those.
There was the one thing that he said, what is it with horror movies and vaginas?
Oh, okay. This is not where I thought we were going. Continue. Yeah,
he was, because, and I don't worry anybody, I won't give it away, but we watched, that movie I just met. Well, first of all, The First Omen. And then there was a movie, The Immaculate.
Oh yeah, I put that on the list because now it's on Hulu, which I haven't seen, but I will watch it now that it's free.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
Oh yeah, Tawny's never having children after all that. But you're not. No. But there's these series of movies where they seem very obsessed with vaginas, and things coming out of vaginas, that blew me away. I have a whole thing we could talk about later, but anyway.
Oh, okay, I'm excited because I definitely. Yeah, Jade and I were like driving home. We're like, that was I said that was the most vaginal thing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In a movie. I mean, it was just so obviously.
So many.
Yeah, a lot of that. But I liked it. Yeah, I'm your point.
Yeah, I didn't hate it at all. I just was like, a couple of times I think maybe I blushed a little bit. There
was some definite sexual.
I was sitting next to some guy I didn't know was to the right of me, and I'm just like, well,
this is awkward.
Close my legs a little tighter. No, I'm just kidding. All right. How about you?
I fucking loved this movie. Nice. I just loved it so much. That's exactly how I felt like when you said I didn't walk out of the movie being like, holy shit, that was so great. That was me. I was
awesome.
I was like just blown away by everything about this movie. I feel like I have like one criticism, which we'll get to, and I'm sure you have the same one, and I'm sure everybody has the same criticism, but like aside from that, I just felt like it was perfect. I was like, how did they do such a good job of incorporating like all of what makes the Alien franchise great into one movie while also making it the connective tissue to the rest of the movies. Because, I mean, you know, I think I said this maybe in our last episode. I can't remember now. I've lost track. But we watched all of them. And maybe we were part of the way through watching all of them at that point. But Jade and I watched every single Alien movie, including the Alien versus Predator, which is not canon to the Alien franchise. And we're not going to count those here. But I just feel like they have so many good ideas in the franchise, and this hit and miss with the movies, but damn, they did a good job of like incorporating that all. But it was its own story and its own take, and it brought some fresh ideas, some cool stuff, but it never felt bloated to me, because I felt like, sometimes I get frustrated when there's like too many ideas and I'm like, you need to just edit yourself. But I think they did just somehow they fucking did a perfect dance throughout this entire movie, which I was just like stoked, because I agree it felt like the first movie in the best ways, but then it also kind of felt like the best parts of Aliens, which is fun, but like very different tonally. It was just great. And it makes sense actually, because Fede did consult with Ridley Scott. I keep fucking up the names because it's Ellen Ripley and Ridley Scott, and like the two R names are messing with me. But anyway, he consulted with him and James Cameron, which I didn't realize, because Ridley Scott is a producer on this movie, but I don't think James Cameron was. But he talked to him and he directed the second one. So
that's so cool. I can't wait to hear about the connections to the other movies, because I have seen them all. I just haven't seen them all recently.
Yeah,
I think the thing that sticks out to me the most was that little girl Newt.
Yeah.
I don't even know when that happens. I just remember her.
Yeah, that's from Aliens, the second one.
Okay, cool. So I'm excited, because I bet when you share, I will start remembering some things. I have to rewatch them all. I would like to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to do. I'm so glad we did, actually, because I think that really added to this viewing experience, because it does a good job of connecting a lot of what happens in the other movies, including mostly Prometheus, and connecting that to the rest of the franchise. And what else was I going to say about this? As far as the group that I was with, I don't think anybody came out of the movie like as stoked as me. And it was weird, because I thought it was going to be one of those. Like, I just assumed we're all going to walk out of this theater and be like, holy shit, that was fucking amazing, right? But like, it wasn't that level of excitement. I think they were kind of iffy on it, and that's okay. And then Jade was like, he liked it, but he was like, I'm going to have to download a little bit. And then we talked about it on the way home, and I feel like I talked him up to like really loving it. So I'm going to talk you up to really loving it too, probably.
Do it. I mean, I was so excited. I was like, had the biggest grin ear to ear when we were walking out. I was like, so what did you think? Like, I was so excited about it. It was a fun time.
Yeah.
One of my very favorite things. No, not at all. I just was blown away by how gorgeous that ship, everything, but specifically that ship crashing into the rings.
Oh yeah.
The what that looked like God, it was so pretty. I just wanted to look at it more. I was like, just keep that going for a little while longer.
Yeah, me too.
Gorgeous.
Oh, I love that. But also, I thought you were going to start at the beginning, because
sorry. Yeah.
No. Start at the end. That's fine. I feel like so much of it was so pretty, like the cinematography, right in the beginning. I loved the first shot, which was just in space. Again, a callback to the first Alien. And then they even use the same like text, for the font. And it's like, it's space, but then you see that there's a ship there, because it's kind of blotting out some of the stars, and then the lights turn on, and you realize that it's there and it's been there, but you just didn't see it because nothing was like lighting it. I loved that first shot.
That was so cool.
And then you've got the shot of them taking off in their ship and rising up above the clouds on their planet, and the like sun is coming up over. Like, that was crazy beautiful. I was like,
and the fire and stuff on their planet, like all the cloud cover and the
lightning.
Yeah.
Like, gorgeous. Just so cool. And then, there's that shot of her like the sun is coming. This is the first time she's seen the sun because she was born on this planet. And there are 0 days of sunlight. So she's like shielding her eyes from the sun. And they've used that in a lot of the promotional materials and thumbnails and stuff. I felt like that was awesome. And it just keeps being visually awesome, like all the way throughout the movie. But definitely those like some of those first sequences were just like, whoa. Oh, and we saw an IMAX. Did you guys see it in a normal theater?
I think so.
Okay. I feel like IMAX was the way to go. And it just happened that way because of the timing was best at like 8:30 p.m. But damn, I'm glad we did because the sound was great. It was so loud and you could hear everything. And also, I think it was shot specifically for IMAX. So it was like really great viewing experience because it was just like, it just gives so much visual weight. Also, just when you're looking at this fucking gigantic screen, you know, it was really
cool. Oh, I wish I would have.
Yeah. Well, you can go again. I'm like, I want to go again, not to IMAX probably, but to see it a second time in theaters because it was so fucking good.
The pictures of space were stunning. Just
so
stunning.
Cool.
Or how about when like she, back at the end, where she was in space hanging by that cord. I loved how everything was so loud and then it was like a vacuum, just the silence. That was so cool.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was so cool.
And the characters, I like them all. Like I enjoy, the acting was so good. I felt really bad for that droid guy. I felt
Andy.
So bad for him, Andy. Like I loved it, and I know he's just a robot, but it's like he's not. I loved that character, and I loved their relationship. That was beautiful.
Yeah, me too. That guy really. What was his name? Let me just give a little shout out to him. David Johnson. I feel like he really stole the show. I mean, everyone did a good job of acting, but that guy had to play like 2 versions of himself of the same character. So there had to be similarities, but enough differences for you to know who was in control. And I was like, God damn, this guy is doing it. And the facial expressions were just top notch.
You just fell in love with him.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And even when he was being like strict, Andy, you're like, all right, Andy, get it.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. I see what you're saying. Don't open that door.
Yeah. And he was right. I mean, they were going to put themselves in danger.
I get them screaming for, to open the door to rescue the girl. But like, he just made that point where he can calculate things. Like when the door was closing and they're like, you almost closed on him. He's like, no, it was perfect calculation. He made it just in time without the aliens getting through because I'm wicked smart.
Yeah.
And so they kind of just got to trust him. But anyways, I jumped to the middle.
No worries. No, we can jump around.
So these people, they go up and they want to get the cryo sleep stuff, right? They want to first get the cryo sleep pods, but then when there's not enough energy on them, they're going to get the cold stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
The super cold stuff that you could use the cryospace pods.
Yeah. Use with the cryospace fuel.
Yeah.
This was like, I feel like such a good, it was such a great reason to do this. Cause I kind of thought just from the trailers and stuff that I had seen, that they were going to be a crew being sent out to retrieve the floating alien in space. And I felt like, okay, well, we've done that now about, fucking 4 times. So I don't know if I'm excited for that plot, but I didn't realize it was not that. It was, we have this totally separate group of colonists who are actually working on a Weyland-Yutani colony planet. And they're basically, enslaved by this company, and they have no way to, they have no control over their life because the company can just say, oh, you owe us another 10 years of service before we'll let you leave. And they can't go anywhere because space travel is obviously very long and taxing. And so I really loved this reasoning. They were like, well, if we're ever going to get off this fucking planet and go live in a better place, we have to go steal this ship. And no one's noticed that it's there yet. So let's go snatch that. Take us 30 minutes in and out. No big deal. I loved this. And I have a note here about this idea. So The idea of centering this on younger characters was inspired by a deleted scene from Aliens, the second movie, that was later restored in the special edition. Fede said, there's a moment where you see a bunch of kids running around the corridors of this colony, and I thought, wow, what would it be like for those kids to grow up in a colony that still needs another 50 years to terraform? So I remember thinking, if I ever tell a story in that world, I will definitely be interested in those kids when they reach their early 20s.
Oh, I got cold chills. I love that.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat, huh? Because it's like you do get, from her talking about it, like her parents have died on this planet doing the work that she is doing. And that's the fate that awaits her unless they get off this planet. So it gives a well-deserved urgency.
I loved when they got up on the ship and the changes in the gravity when it was rebooting. Just like really cool looking, having those shifts and having them float around, just seamlessly done.
I loved that too. I thought that was such a cool addition to this movie. And I love that it comes back into it later in it. Mm-hmm. And she uses it to do this incredible sequence. Like, well, she doesn't. She's not the filmmaker, but like she turns it back off the gravity so that the aliens float and she can shoot them without the acid blood burning through the hull immediately. Number one, this is such a fucking smart thing to do. And number two, what a fucking great sequence. Like, I just loved the like floating, swirling acid and them having to like navigate through it. It was so cool.
Yeah, that was so cool. I loved that too. Right after that, there was one piece that I think this was one piece where I was like, I mean, it didn't ruin it for me, but you know, they're in that shaft and in the elevator shaft, and he jumps down and is shooting the alien, and then they land on the top of the elevator that's stuck there, and he's standing there and he looks at her and she's like grateful at that moment. But the blood from the alien's not really chewing through that metal like it does in the other areas. I wondered why. So it was enough that it caught me that I was like, why isn't it burning a hole? Because I kept thinking he's got to get off that elevator because it's going to burn a hole in the thing. But it never did. It was sizzling like a little. And then right then, and this is a huge elevator shaft, and they're just on a rung ladder. And it's like, oh, impact in T minus 10 seconds, 10, 9. And now they're all the way up there. they're up there. And then it was like 8, 7, they're in the ship. Okay, now they're ready to take off. I was like, I mean, I just thought, that's kind of silly. And I was wondering, is this a miss of the filmmaking, or is happening in the editing process where this is clearly like there's no way they would have time to get all the way up there in 10 seconds. They would be dead. And in editing, somehow when they're doing whatever they do, I don't know how to edit a movie, they are like, fuck it. Or is it just like, oh, we didn't even cross our minds?
Yeah, I think what happened, number one, I don't have an answer for the acid on top of the elevator thing, because I did notice that also in the moment, and I'd forgotten about it until you just said that. But I also was thinking, well, you better fucking hurry, because now you have a very small amount of time before the acid chews through that piece of metal. But so I have no answer for that. But the second one did also bother me, but I think that the intention there was that there was a gap of time. And it just was like an editing thing that we heard the audio of the next shot before we saw it. And it did make it feel weird. But I think that whatever they did, whatever the other option was probably worse. You know what I mean? Like that was probably like their best option of the options in the edit.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I was thinking, as soon as it said 10 seconds, I thought, I was ready for some other miraculous thing, like how, you know, she shot up at the roof, so it pushed her down all the way, so she missed the acid, that sort of thing. I was waiting for something, but nope, they were on the ship. I was like, they just run super fast.
Yeah. I was also like looking up. They have a shot up the ladder. It's like so long. Like,
maybe they're already at the floor they need to be at. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
you're never going to make it.
But it didn't ruin the movie, but it definitely caught me by surprise.
Yeah, totally. I had forgotten about that, but I think that was a weird couple of things in a row there.
The face huggers. I was very excited. This movie poster cover is one of my favorites.
Me too.
Oh, I think I want that movie posters.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And when they were going through the ship, I'm like, holy crap. They really preserved a lot of these fucking face hugger things. Why did they do that? There's too many. And when it started to warm up and they started to plop down in the water, I just loved this. And I loved how they took those face huggers to the next level, because you actually are seeing the penis thing trying to go down the tube thing, trying to go down the throat and get into the people's faces like that.
Yeah.
That is because in the first one you see it go, you don't see it go in, but when they pull it off, it comes out of the mouth. But this one, that little thing is wiggling around, trying to like fight the face to get into the. Oh my God, this is so fantastic.
So good. And also when they pull it out, it's so long.
Oh.
I was like, huh.
I did the same. He was like, oh. I felt the same. I was like, oh God, it's so gross. It was so, and then when the one girl, so it's on her face and they take it off because they freeze it and she goes back to the spaceship. And when the thing is going to come out of her chest. So they're doing like the same things, but or like how it's done, but in a different way too. Like it's a new person, just knew how, the thing, sorry, now I'm getting real excited. The thing where she was like a light where you could see through your arm and she puts it up to her chest and there's that thing wiggling around.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that was amazing.
Me too. I loved that. That was another thing that I absolutely loved. It was called an X-ray torch. I just wish that they had used it more. I definitely thought that was going to come back in later. And I thought we were going to use it on Kay, our pregnant character's belly. And I was like stoked for that. But it never made a reappearance. And so I think that was kind of a miss. And I wonder if they didn't have more and they cut it or something. But I was like, this is so fucking cool to be able to see what's going on inside the body. Amazing.
And this piece was where I was thinking nostalgia wise, because when that little alien, I don't know what it is, when I see that, I call her the mama alien, but there's lots of them, that alien and it's little, I just feel so happy.
Yeah.
I was like, there it is. I love it. And they're like, oh, look at it's coming out. And it looked a little bit more real than the first one. And it had its little legs. I'm like, oh, it's kind of cute.
It did have its little legs, yeah.
Little legs.
But I like how they stayed really true to the original one. Like it was still a practical thing and it was cute somehow.
It was somehow cute. And I just was so happy when I saw it. Happy when I saw the full grown one. I just really like this alien. It's one of my favorite aliens. Yeah,
it's really cool. And there's so much behind it too, like the lore and the life cycle. I started to watch an alien life cycle video on YouTube, and I don't think I made it through the whole thing. But there's so much information about this world and the lore and everything that you can look up, which I think is really cool. But I wanted to note here on the creatures. So the director sought out the special effects crews, Legacy Effects and Studio Gillis. Both were selected due to their staff's prior history with the Alien series. And he really did like physical sets, practical creatures, and miniatures as much as possible to help ground the later visual effects work. And I think it's a really good mix. Of course, I say that now, we'll see how we feel about it 20 years from now. It might look really cheesy for some reason, but like, the space stuff where you're getting these really big shots of the rings or like the ship getting chewed up in the ring belt, explosions and stuff. Like, I felt like all that looked just a fucking amazing, especially next to these practical effects. And
yeah, I agree.
So we'll see how it holds up, but yeah.
It wasn't jarring. Like the different, they blended perfectly.
Yeah. And I can tell you, having watched all of them, that Aliens, the second one, and Alien 3, And definitely also Alien Resurrection, maybe? Actually, I can't remember in that one. Probably some weird stuff. But definitely Aliens 2 and 3 were like, whoa, we took a major step back. Like Alien 1 looks so good and grounded and holds up. And the other two tried to do a little bit of, CGI, and it is fucking rough.
Oh, God, I'm going to have to rewatch them. I'm so curious now. I have to tell you, I embarrassed myself in the theater because I literally screamed.
Okay.
Like literally screamed. It wasn't even scary. I felt like an amateur. So
okay.
The whole beginning is so quiet and so slow. Not slow in a bad way. Just it's a slower pace, right? They're walking around doing all that thing. And so I'm just sitting there watching, not guarding myself. When the android or the droid came alive and grabbed the guy's arm.
Oh, yeah.
That, I screamed, guys. Not, but like I screamed. And then for some reason, I was like, sorry to the theater. Stupid. And then I looked at the guy next to me and I was like, sorry. And then I felt so embarrassed. My cheeks, if you could have seen them, were probably bright red.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
That's funny. Did people laugh?
I probably were like, what? I literally said sorry to the entire theater for screaming. It was stupid.
Funny.
But I screamed, though.
Okay, it was a jump scare, though. Like, that moment was supposed to get your ass, and it got your ass.
Yeah, because that was the first one that was just, it was quiet the whole time until that, and it got my ass.
I think I jumped on that one. So if that makes you
happy
feel better.
You didn't scream.
Yeah, I didn't.
People were probably like, this bitch can't handle her horror. This is not the truth. It's not true. Oh my gosh.
How was your audience? Was it pretty full?
Yeah, it was packed.
Okay, ours was too, and I was really surprised because I feel like most of the time when we go to movies, it's like dead as fuck. And I just was like, a horror movie? I don't know, but usually they're not as busy. But I mean, this is a really well-known franchise, so I guess it makes sense. But it was cool walking in. We saw a guy with a Nostromo hat. And I was like, oh, cool hat. And he was like, oh, yeah, thanks. You noticed. I was like, yeah. And then people were sitting in our seats and we had to ask them to move. They were in the wrong row and they were like really nice and chill about it. And I just was like, once again, the horror community, like coming out, showing up, having a great time, being great people. So that was really neat.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's usually not busy either at our theater, but it was packed.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, I think this is really going to make a lot of money, which is exciting because I want to see more from this. I feel like we're set up well at the end for sequels or anything. We could go anywhere really because this movie it's right between Alien 1 and 2. I'm just going to call it Alien 2 because calling it Aliens is really difficult. So from here on out, I'm just going to call it Alien 2 because it's right in between those two movies. And I feel like we could continue on from here. We could hop around because we've got Prometheus and Alien Covenant, like as prequels to Alien even. I don't know. I'm excited about it. I'm like.
So Prometheus, you're right. Is a prequel to because I was wondering the final Alien had the same face and black eyes as the Anunnaki and in historical because there's historical writings about the Anunnaki,
right?
Not knowing if they've actually like existed or not, but in that they weren't evil. They brought knowledge. And I'm trying to remember Prometheus. Were they evil?
I wouldn't say that they're evil, but what Prometheus tells us is that they call them the engineers. So the engineers created man.
Yes.
By what I assume happens at the beginning of Prometheus, he like eats the black goo and it turns him into, it like evaporates him basically, and he jumps into a waterfall. And what I'm pretty sure happens is like that's how we show up as humans. So there's like a base level of engineer DNA within us as people, and that's how they created us. So then they go off and they're like doing whatever. And maybe they came back and taught us some stuff. That's how kind of the people in the movie Prometheus, they find some cave drawings from a really long time ago. Looks Anunnaki-like. And then they go off in search of the creators, the engineers. And they find them on the planet. But what they find is a planet where the engineers are creating some more. And I think they're creating potentially weapons. And they were going to take that black goo back to Earth to destroy humans. So
okay,
that's at the end of Prometheus. They're sort of like, why would you go back? Why would you create us and then go back and destroy us? I want to know.
Because we're assholes.
We don't get an answer.
Okay, because I think that's what they were thinking.
Right. I think there is some level of like, I don't know if it's entirely canon that the engineers also create the aliens, but I think that could be part of it. And that we as humans eventually get to the point where we can do space travel and we keep fucking trying to bring this thing back to use it or to bring it to life. And I heard or saw somewhere that that's like maybe a theory, is that that's why the engineers were on their way back to destroy us, is because we were, not we as a community, but Weyland-Yutani, the company, was trying to go and find the aliens.
Okay. Yeah, and we have that kind of brain. If they created us, they're probably like, fucking humans.
Yeah.
God, stop it already. Okay, let's just get rid of them and start over.
These guys, they've gotten out of control.
Yeah.
We got to go down there and do something about this.
Yes, 100%. Okay, that was helpful because I love Prometheus, but I saw it a long time ago. I just remember loving it. Yeah.
It definitely helps that I watched these in the last couple of weeks, I feel like, to kind of connect these dots.
But what you said that black goo, which was what was coming out of her breast. I'm assuming she was nursing that thing with the black goo. That came
I
out
think
of her,
that
right?
wasn't at the same compound. No, but it was the. Wait, what were you talking about then? Is that what you were talking about? What was coming out of her breast?
Yeah, when she was nursing him, I assume is what was happening.
I thought you were talking about the black goo that they're putting together in the lab.
Oh, there's that too.
Yeah.
So, okay. So a mixture of, I liked where you're going with the human, like we all have the engineer DNA in us. So you thinking the mixture of, we already have that within us with the stuff she injected herself with whatever was also being put in her when she was inside of the cocoon.
Yep.
Had created a perverse version of an engineer.
Well, I think it's part engineer, part human, and part alien.
Yeah. Oh, God, it was so gross. Those big, weird, gross tumors on its back.
Oh, like the holes.
The holes. Yeah.
Oh, it was so gross. And it was
so gross. He was so beautiful. Like, it was so magnificent.
Yes,
it
was
scared
great.
me so bad. The whole her in that tube, and because I was waiting. I thought what was going to happen because she injected herself that she was going to explode like the rat did in the video. So that's what I was waiting for. I thought, oh, she's going to be in there and she's going to open it and that chick's going to explode. Oh no, she gives birth to this giant acid egg that opens up its flaps and it's full of acid, and then this thing is born.
Yeah.
That was so fucking cool looking.
So cool. I was not expecting this at all. I was definitely thinking it was going to just be a face hugger because it kind of looked like the face hugger egg and opened up that same way. And I was like very pleasantly surprised this thing was so off the wall. I just like loved it.
I leaned over when he was smelling his mom. I leaned over and looked at Steve and went, she's going to nurse it. And he just went, oh. The look on his face was like, please. And then that thing came out of its mouth that opened. And he looked at me and he went, no, please. No, please. I don't want to see it. And they didn't really show it. They just, but oh, that was so great.
Yeah, it actually ended up seeming, I mean, it seemed like he was just eating her actually instead of nursing, which
I think
we were kind of like, why not go there? You know, like if you were you laid the groundwork and then you just didn't do it. Not that I wanted to see it, but
no, but I don't know that he wasn't though. It was hard to see what he was doing.
Yeah.
Because he was down by her neck. And so I thought, oh, is he eating her? But if you think about it, he would have to be down by her neck to have that thing go down her shirt.
That's true.
Because why would
I wasn't thinking about the little mouth, second mouth.
Yeah, because why would they make it a point that she would touch her breast?
But I think she's bloody, or he's bloody. I think he's bloody when he like looks up, turns around.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I don't
remember. Oh. But I do want to say that was really cool to see. I actually said to myself, oh, you did it. The deleted scene from the first movie.
Yes.
They had it here. As soon as I saw this stuff, I'm like, oh shit, this is like a reminiscent of the deleted scene from the first movie. There's the people in the pods, and they were actually able to rescue someone from, not the pods, the cocoons, you know, the webbing throughout. And that's what I thought of. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, me too. It also happens in Alien too. Like they find a group of people all up in the cocoons.
I should watch that. I seem dumb.
Come on, Felicia.
Oh my God, I'm failing. So the vaginas.
Okay. Let's do it.
So of course the birthing, and that's fine, and kind of when the egg opens, but the biggest, and I say big, was the one that was like a cocoon, and it just looked like a vagina. Guys, like a gross vagina, but it had the labia, had everything going on.
Yeah.
It looked like it was wet and aroused. Like
anatomically correct.
Yes. Giant, throbbing, wet vagina. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, Lord. That's when I was kind of like, ooh, this is getting a little uncomfortable. And then, okay, so I don't know what squirting is. Like, I've not seen it. Okay. Okay. I haven't seen it.
I just didn't think that this was the direction we were going. Continue.
I have heard about it, probably in a movie, probably guys talking about it. I don't know, but I know there's this thing. I think it was actually, I don't know who, I was watching a documentary or who I don't know when this conversation happened, but it was something about how men or young men get unrealistic ideas of sex with a woman because they watch so much porn. So right at like young men are watching porn and thinking that's what a woman wants, but that isn't necessarily, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things was, I think the guy was saying he thought that women came like men do because he saw a porn where someone was squirting. And I was like, I don't even know how this is possible. But when that vagina was squirting the acid on that boy,
yeah,
I leaned over to Steve and I said, I think that is what squirting is. I think that vagina pod is squirting. That's all I can see. And I think I'm like, everybody in this theater must think this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't not see it.
And then it gave birth. So it was wet and turned on, then it squirted, then it gave birth. It's like the life cycle of the vagina.
True. That's very true, actually. Yeah.
I just had to, I don't know. But all the other movies, they have that much vagina-ness in them?
No. That was definitely new to this one, for sure. I mean, I think that there's a lot of kind of sexual nods in the creature design, but I mean, you already see that with the face hugger and the alien. I feel like the alien skull is very
the alien's
phallic.
head, right? Yeah. It looks like
sure.
a penis for sure.
Yeah. And H.R. Geiger's work is like that in general. So that kind of makes sense too, that filters down into the creature design, because I think he helped, right? Like with the creatures. And but yeah, this was definitely like far and away the most overt, I think, of all of them. But I also have like I've been hearing and seeing some things, and I didn't get a chance to dive into it a lot, but I had seen some stuff of people talking about Alien, the first movie, being there was some thought behind having a man be the one who got impregnated, basically, by the face hugger first. And the intention there was to sort of ask a male audience, like, or not ask, but have them go through the thought process of like, this is what it would feel like to be to be violated, basically, and have to.
This is what it feels like to give a blowjob, guys.
Violently give birth.
The face hugger.
Oh, yeah, that too.
And to violently give birth.
Right, yeah. And that, like, this was not, your choice, basically, and how that can be really scary. I don't know. Again, I haven't done like a ton of research, so I don't know if that was the intent in making the first movie necessarily, but I think that there is a lot of like sort of everything in the movie can be, I think, kind of viewed through like a sexual or a sort of gender or even like sexual organ kind of lens. I think there's something really interesting there in terms of like film analysis.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I just wanted to bring that up because it definitely looked like a vagina.
Oh yeah, it
like
was definitely.
It was a big model vagina. But I can say I loved the acid burning up that guy. Yeah,
me too. The one thing that bothered me about it though was I was annoyed that he didn't just roll away. This is like this is one of the other things that I just noticed in the moment that I was like, what are you doing? Like, that obviously hurts. Why wouldn't you just roll away? But he just continues to lay there and let it drip on him. And he's like touching it with his fingers.
Well, it wasn't dripping. It was getting shot at him, right?
I don't.
It looked like that's what it was like. Like it was. That's what I meant by squirting. Like, it was direct and like it looked almost like darts.
Oh,
like it was like the vagina thing was kind of pulsing a little bit. And I thought it looked like it was spitting it at him.
I don't remember that. I remember that because there's like a spike that comes out of it and like jabs him, right? Gets him. Mm-hmm. But then it's outside of it and it's sort of dripping on him. I thought it was like spitting, for lack of a better word, at him. Oh, no. I don't know.
Acid.
This is
so I have to see it again because that's what I thought. I was like, oh shit, this is next level. The thing is like shooting poison at him now.
That would make more sense that he can't get away from it because I was just like literally roll away. Like, what are you doing?
Because it would hurt so bad. You would think you'd roll away. But
you would just by instinct, right?
Yeah.
But I did like how it ate up his fingers and you could see his like bones. Ugh.
And I did love seeing that alien being birthed. It was like a real birth and it coming out. That was pretty cool.
When Kay gives birth to it?
That too.
Oh, no.
When the alien comes out of lots of birthing. There was a lot of birthing. When the alien comes out right after the acid bath. Yeah. And then Kay too. That was incredible.
Lots of giving births to aliens through different orifices.
Yes. Oof.
Real vaginas, big model vaginas, chest vaginas. Just everywhere.
Yep.
On that note, while we're talking about giving birth, I have this very random piece of trivia that I just thought you would specifically enjoy, but I didn't know where to put it, so this is the perfect place. There's a necklace that Kay wears, and it is the Miraculous Medal, which is a Roman Catholic devotional medal, which has an image of the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Ooh, it's a nice medal to have.
Yeah, and I thought that was kind of an interesting nod. Obviously, she was not a virgin, but I think that there's like a level of that you can, because she was impregnated by this thing in a different way than humans usually do. So interesting.
Yeah, Christians are going to come after you for that one. I'm just kidding. Are you comparing the alien to Jesus? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I noticed also it was so small, but towards the end when she used the cold stuff on the alien guy, the alien baby man, and she's walking and it's cold and she goes kind of into this little space and gets on the spacesuit. That's exactly what Ripley did in the first one. I love that. I was like, oh, that's what Ripley did.
Yeah, I loved that too. There's so many callbacks and nods.
The scientist android. Even like from the first one.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. This guy. This fucking guy. This is the only thing that I don't like about the movie. It just looked so fucking bad. Like, why did they have to do this? Because they make him look exactly like Ash from the first movie, but it looks so bad. The CGI of this part is just abysmal. And this actor died in 2020. So they're definitely doing some like CGI posthumous shit here. And I just don't know why we had to do it.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you because she would know that particular android might be the science officer and would take the thing out to put in her brother so that he could have clearance. Totally buy all of that. And when she was going to get the thing, I went, oh no. And I leaned over to Steve. He probably loves how much I talk to him throughout the movies. I leaned over to Steve and I went, no, that guy was on the side of the aliens. Like he wanted to preserve the aliens. And Steve nodded at me like, yeah, I just watched it with you.
Yeah.
So
I have eyeballs.
we already know that that's not a good idea. We don't need this guy. I felt like he talked way too much. And then he showed up in the ship. He's like, give me control of the ship. Like, I don't think you needed all of that. You put the thing in Andy, and then Andy did that cool thing. He was like, ah, and his eyeballs rolled back. And love now that. You know he's going to be, I guess you haven't watched Alien 1. Oh, well, sorry, go watch it. Like, you didn't need this other guy talking everyone through it. Did we? Did he say anything that was very necessary that we needed to know?
Yeah, I think there was some good dialogue, but what I just wanted is it for not... I wanted him to not look like Ash the android.
Another thing, I'd have to go back and watch it, but I believe that android melts. I remember his face melting in the first one, if I'm not mistaken. Like he was laying there and he was cut open, but then he was like, rah, 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 rah. Yeah. And I thought the whole face melted away, but now his face is perfect.
Well, okay, so it's a different synth.
Okay.
He just looks exactly like the other synth. Because this synth's name in this movie is Rook, and Ash is from the first one. You're right that they burn him. They burn him with a big fire torch in the original movie. And so I think what they're doing here is just some level of fan service where they're like, look, we have another synth who looks exactly like Ash.
But he was killed the same way because he was also cut open and his innards were hanging out?
Yeah, I don't like... Yeah. This is definitely not the same one. Definitely not. But why did they just not make it look like a different guy? There's more precedent in the series for all the synths to look different than there is for the synths to look the same. And so I don't know why we would do this here, because we have, in the first movie, we have Ash. The second movie, we have one, I think, called Bishop. The third movie, we have Winona Ryder. Or no, that's the fourth. That's Resurrection. I can't remember in the third movie. But like
Prometheus, there's a different guy too.
Yeah, and then Prometheus and Alien Covenant are the only two movies that have two different synths that look the same, and it's Michael Fassbender. And they are two different synths. They just look the same. But there's more, like I'm saying, there's more instances of synths looking different. And then in this movie, we have Andy. He looks different too. So I don't know why we would need to do this. Just make it a different person, actor. Like, I think there was a good bit of, exposition that we needed from that guy.
And now that I think back, he did share some stuff about but I wonder if Andy could have known that stuff because he had the chip in his head and he knew what the directive was. He had a new directive. Could he just know that stuff? But I agree. Why not have it a different? Because I was confused because I immediately thought his face burned off, but I didn't rewatch the middle one, so I don't know if that comes up at all or
no. He never comes back up. I mean,
And he was all gutted, just like the first one.
It was, yeah. It was like, it was almost like they were trying to do like a callback, but it was like too similar. Because if it had looked different, but it had been cut in half, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that's the same guy.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
I don't know. I will say that I really liked this thing. I felt like this was a new thing that we haven't seen in any of the movies, is like that you can pull out like a chip from any of the synths and put it in another synth, and they can access some of that information. That was really fucking cool.
Yeah,
I was like, give me some more of that.
That was very cool. I agree.
What I think makes this the connective tissue between the other movies, I've watched them all at this point, and I feel like there's just always been something missing for me about, like, I don't understand the motivation of like the company or the people to continue to go after these aliens, because it seems so unpredictable. So in Prometheus, you have, you know, Wayland, the owner of the company. He wants to go find the creators to have a conversation with them, mostly so that he can just continue to stay alive. Like, he just wants immortality because he's a rich, ultra rich guy, and he just doesn't want to die. And so I was like, okay, that makes sense to me, but it didn't quite jive with the rest of the movies, because the rest of the movies all kind of have to do with the company wanting to go find an alien, or want to go find, or the military, like in Alien 2, the military wants to go find the alien to use it as a weapon. And so I'm like, that whole thing just didn't quite make sense to me. But in this movie, you have that crucial like exposition dump of Rook, the synth, saying, we did some testing, like we went and got that alien that Ripley shot out into the, you know, space. We went and got it, brought it in, and we synthesized the Prometheus, what does he call it? The Prometheus something compound. And we're testing that on humans to make humans more adaptable, live longer, whatever. And so that was when I think it finally clicked for me. It was like, oh, I see. They're not, like, that is the goal still, is like in some way immortality, or giving humans a like, what does he say? He's like, we don't have to wait for evolution anymore.
Mm-hmm. I love the final fight scene with her and the baby man, you know, going through whatever that was, all that black powder. Was it coal? Dusted out coal? Whatever it was. And then I fell for that jump scare when it was, right. That scared me so bad when she was slowly climbing up the thing, like going towards the hole. And then it was like, brah, on her face. I was like,
that got me too.
But then there was like, its little tongue was breaking her face masks. It was breaking it pretty deep. And I thought to myself, I think it probably would have imploded and she would have died, but that's okay.
Yeah, but that's okay.
I don't want her to die, so it's fine. It's very strong. But.
Yeah, we had some criticism too with our group. Tyler, one of our friends who saw it with us, I think he was the one who, I wasn't there for this, but Jade was. I think he mentioned the acid, like when she shoots them in the zero gravity, like it wouldn't have stayed as consolidated as it was. It probably would have like hit the sides of the ship and started to burn holes through them. And I that makes sense to me too. I agree with that, although it also isn't a thing that bothers me. And I think you'd still have more time because it's not, you don't have the gravity of one direction of the acid moving through the spaceship. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit more scattered.
Yeah.
There was a few things that were.
I thought that too. It would have moved towards some of the, but
yeah,
that's okay.
But you know what? I'll take it. I'll overlook it for that cool scene.
I thought how post-traumatic stress she must have to now get into a cryopod sleep chamber and actually, you know, then go to sleep.
Yeah.
After everything. Ugh.
I don't know either. I don't know how you do it.
Ugh.
You'd be like, I'm fucked. They don't even know if they're going to make it. You know, she even says in her like last log, like,
I guess you never do.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what, like, Pandorum was that I won't say anything else. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you can have a
another
Pandora
example.
on your hands.
Yeah, exactly. And never even know. Well,
yeah.
God forbid you wake up and you're in the middle of all that shit.
Be better to just
just go.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I've gone over most of my trivia things but what I have left is just a big list of references to the other movies.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious.
That I can go through. So the ones that Jade noticed right in the beginning, I didn't even notice these two. In the very beginning, when she walks up to the group of friends, they're holding, one of them is like playing a video game, and at the end it goes, "Game over, man." That's like one of the famous lines in the second movie. Bill Paxton is in it, and he is just given a way over the top performance all the way throughout the movie, and that's one of his lines that people reference a lot. And then a little bit later, I can't remember who does this to who, but somebody does that thing where they like touch their shirt and then flick the nose when you look down. That is a callback to Aliens, also with Newt.
Oh, it was the guy who hates synths, and he did it to Andy.
Oh, to this. Yeah,
yes,
to Andy.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was great.
They did that to the little girl. The little girl did it.
I think I can't remember. Someone does it to her or she does it to someone else. I think it might be both. I think somebody does it to her first and then she does it to somebody later in the movie. Yeah. I didn't even notice those. Jade had a really good eye for those two. And then of course we have "Get Away From Her, You Bitch," which I would say was probably our theater's favorite moment. Like everybody there was like an audible, everybody laughed, of course, but you could tell it was like like people were delighted by that.
Yeah,
that was
me too in our theater. Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, that was so fun. Okay, so then we have, after Rain provided Andy with his new instruction, the saving sound from the game Alien Isolation could be heard. There's so much. I can't remember if I said this, but there's like graphic novels and video games and books and all kinds of like other content in addition to the movies that adds to the world and the lore. And so I think that's cool, and it might be worth looking into at some point. I started watching like a timeline episode on our timeline video on YouTube, and I'll post that in our Discord in case you want to dive into it. But it was so fucking I couldn't even follow what was going on because he talked so much about all this extra content outside of the movies. So I think there's just like a lot to be dug into if you want to. But I just thought that was a cool nod with the video game. Okay, next we have when they reactivate the Romulus station, the song "The Entry of the Gods into Valhalla" is heard over the audio. This ties back to Alien Covenant, when Wayland first activates David and asks him to play Wagner, choosing the same song.
Oh.
Next, we have Rook tells Rain and Andy, "I can't lie about your chances, but you have my sympathies." And that is the final line of Ash in the original movie.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't pick up on that one either. Last one I have is when Rook mentions the doomed Prometheus expedition, Elizabeth Shaw's theme plays over his exposition.
Oh, okay.
I feel like you can really tell, and it comes through, the love for this franchise in this movie. There may be some who disagree. I feel like not everybody is going to love this addition to the franchise, but I feel like, having just watched all of them, again, I said this at the beginning, I feel like he just took the best parts of all of them and like combined them in this movie.
Yeah.
But these are my favorite things that I like about the franchise. I love, obviously, these fucking aliens are indestructible and have acid blood. That's great. Okay. 2, I love the Wayland Yutani company and how they use the synths and connect with the synths. I think that's really interesting and creates a really cool story dynamic. I also love the synths and their motivations. There's like a whole thing with them where, like, you know, what I was just saying, they work for the company, but there's also this thing in Alien Resurrection, which is by far the worst of the entire series, in my opinion. But they had an interesting idea in that movie where there was a time and a set of synths that were made to human, I think, or something, or they went and they burned their somethings so that they could be like independent of the company.
Ooh.
And then they started making them different again after that. And there's also something similar like this in Covenant as well. But I think that makes for really good storytelling because sometimes you can have synths then that aren't working for the company. And we kind of have that in Andy. It seems like Rain's dad found Andy and like rewrote his program so that he can protect her. And I just think it's really cool to have these not human humans that have like sort of unknown motives sometimes. And that can change whether or not you put in a little disc in their head or rewrite their programming, or if they've, revolted and burned their, I don't even know, hard drive, what motherboard. I don't know. I just think that's cool. And then the last thing that I'll just add in my list of things that I love that he brought in here is I love that the aliens do take on traits of whoever their host is. And we talked about this earlier, but I love that this alien at the very end becomes like a human alien engineer hybrid. But you see this all throughout the series too. Like in Alien 3, one of the aliens gets inside of a dog and comes out and has dog-like traits because that was its host and not instead of a human. And I think that's like dope. And we haven't explored that a ton in the franchise.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I really wish I would have watched all of them before recording today. Because I think
that would have been a lot to ask.
My oldest daughter, she's not into horror, but she's getting more into it. Like she went and saw A Quiet Place with her friends a second time.
Oh, wow.
Which is incredible. And she asked me how the movie was, and I said it was great. And she said, oh, me and my roommate are watching all of the Aliens before going to see it. And I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of you. That's wonderful.
That was so nice.
Well, I wish I would have rewatched them all. I'm going to have to do that because I want to see, especially in this movie, was there something specific that the alien had taken a trait on of somebody? Or?
Well, the alien at the very end,
that alien, yes, but not like the alien.
No, I think that one, I think most of the aliens that we see sort of do take on like a human trait. Because, they're kind of humanoid where they have like,
their bodies are totally, how they're walking and stuff. Yeah.
So I think that's what happened there, but that's normally what happens because they normally get inside of a human, know?
Okay. Yeah. I don't remember that dog one. I have to take a look.
Yeah, that was a quick second also that you get to see that. Well, I was really sad that Kay didn't survive. Jade brought that up and I agreed, but Jade was saying that it would be really cool to have her be a continued character and have that stuff affect her in like ways that we don't know quite yet. It was kind of sad that she just died.
I am very happy though she gave birth to that thing.
Yeah. Well, and that sucks for her.
I guess she didn't have to die. You're right.
Yeah, like she was alive.
But that stuff she injected into her neck though, remember the rat eventually exploded.
Yeah, we don't know what would have happened to her had she not been killed / devoured.
It would have been interesting though,
right?
Because we're not rats. Right. So with our human DNA anyways, what would have happened to her? You're right. That would have been cool. She was laying there, but she was kind of far away. Maybe she was passed out. And we don't know. Maybe she was put in a different pod.
Maybe. That would be crazy. That'd be a crazy way to pick it up. But it'd be neat. I don't know. She reminded me of Ripley too, just because of her curly hair. So.
Yeah, she could. Maybe our lead character, I forgot her name, found her and she still did have life. She wasn't completely dead because he wasn't eating her, actually. He was nursing.
Breastfeeding. Yes.
Yeah, he was breastfeeding. And so then
I like this.
And she was passed out because, well, come on, because that thing is breastfeeding.
I would pass out too.
I would pass out too. And then she put her in a pod. We just didn't see all of that, right?
Right. It was all
and we're going to be surprised. That
would be crazy. Okay. What do you think? Are you ready to rate this?
Yes. I am going to rate it exactly what I rated the first one, a 4.75.
Okay.
Because you sound really disappointed with that.
No. Go ahead.
Well, listeners, everyone listening, that sounded real disappointing, I think.
Continue.
Okay, so the reason is I believe I liked it just so much. People are going to hate me for this because, Alien is such a classic. I think I had the same experience. I was sitting on a nice little boat, drifting through the water. Like I'm trying. Oh, wow. I'm losing it. I'm losing it as it gets later. But I'm thinking of Small World at Disneyland when you're just looking at the stuff. So this is the beginning of both movies, right? I'm just okay. I don't even know what I'm saying. So I'm just learning. I'm learning and watching and listening, right? Before things get crazy. And that's a long period of time before things get crazy. So it was the same beginning. The first one, I'm interested in learning all about the world. This one, I'm like, ooh, how is things different? Looking at all the different stuff. And then the aliens start to come. I love the aliens in both of them equally. The face hugger, we get even more of it, which I was very excited about. The one that pops out of her chest, love it. That was like exactly the same almost. So, yeah. And then we just get more of the big alien going through in different ways you're interacting with it. And then I get that new alien that I absolutely loved. So I feel like the whole experience of watching it was the same for me for both of them.
Okay. Yeah. I did not mean to sound disappointed.
Okay.
That was not, I don't know. It came out of nowhere.
That's okay. Oh.
I'm also getting tired.
Okay.
Oh. Well, I kind of did think that you were going to go higher because you were like, I think I'll cut this part out, but you were like, I'm just going to go for it.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, are we going there?
I'm not looking at any other movies going for it like that. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Okay. No, but I think that makes sense. And I feel like that tracks with your level of excitement and like feeling about the movie as a whole.
Yeah. And then the nostalgia from the first one is heavier, right? Is bigger for me because but these shots in space, I'm just telling you, I wanted to be, I actually thought this in an IMAX theater. I didn't think IMAX in general. Yeah, I did actually. Okay, so when the kids were young, we used to go to the Griffith Observatory in LA all the time because it was only like a couple bucks to get in. And I was a single mom. So this was, the sky's the limit. And so the Griffith Observatory and then the Natural History Museum I believe it was the Natural History Museum, actually. They had this giant IMAX theater, and it was Leonardo DiCaprio that was narrating it. And it was this movie where they took all of the images from the Hubble telescope, and you were completely immersed, and you were actually traveling into the, they call it the Nursery of the Stars, that very famous image, but you go in it and around it. Dude, I'm getting cold chills now. Nerded out. I absolutely fucking loved this. So when I was seeing these images, I thought, oh my God, it reminded me of that. And I thought, I wish this was all around me. I wish I was going into these rings. Like, look at this was like one of my favorite fucking parts. It was so cool. So yeah. Wow, maybe I liked it more. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it.
No, yeah, I say follow your heart.
4.75. Yeah, 4.75.
Follow your heart. Okay.
How about you?
I'm going to give it 5 out of 5. Yeah. And
my God, Tawny.
And people are going to be like, oh, more than the first one? I think for me, right? Like, yeah. And I really love the first one. It's really great. But I don't have any nostalgic ties. And like we talked about in our last episode reviewing it, like it does kind of like, it's a little slow. It's just because it's an older movie. I don't have the nostalgia ties to it, but it's a fantastic movie and I love it a lot. But I loved this more. I mean, this was like such a fantastic theater experience. It was so like well paced. And I think the thing for me that really puts it over the top is, and I know I keep saying this, but I just have to reiterate, for you to be making the 7th fucking movie in a franchise of movies, like, however many years later, I'm going to fuck it up. I don't know. I can't do mental math, but let's
don't look at me. She was looking at me in the camera like her eyes locked mine.
Maybe you can just tell me in my brain
idea.
telepathically how long it's been. I think it's been like 50 years.
50? 50?
Am I doing that math?
I mean,
80.
80 years?
40
years.
I was just 1980.
Oh, I was like 50 to 80. Holy shit.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking 70s, but it was 79, so 80s. Oh, it's been 40 years.
40 years. Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. Fucking bear with me. Okay. It's 10 o'clock at night. 40 years, 7 movies, tons of different directors, producers. Like Ridley Scott was like there for some of them, off on some, came back for Covenant, Prometheus and Covenant. For you to be able to take all of what makes the franchise as a whole good and what worked in those movies, make it work within the canon of all of those movies, place it inside of that timeline, you know? Like, and then have like a totally unique story just that like works within everything else and not fuck that up so fucking royally bad. I just think is like a fucking amazing testament to being able to make this movie. And so for that, I just like have to give it a 5. This is how I felt about Barbie too. Like, and why Barbie ended up being my favorite movie of last year is I just like, how do you pull that off? You know, how do you I can't even begin to fathom and imagine how much work and effort it takes. And so I just, that's what pushes this over the top for me. So I
love it.
Loved it. And I want to see it again and again. Like in the theater.
Great. That's a great feeling.
Yeah. I loved it. Okay. I'm
so
sorry.
This is your second. No, this is your second 5 of the year.
Ooh, is that true? It was my first. Oh, Saltburn. Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks.
Yeah, your second 5. It is. Yeah. Mine was Saltburn in A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place.
Day 1. But yeah.
Only. Okay. But I will say 2 5s. At first I started to say only 2 5s. But last year I don't think we had any 5s that we both did 5. So the fact that both of us are coming out with 2 5s so far is great. That's a
good sign of, oh shit, we're almost at the end of the year. Hopefully we'll get some more 5s in there. I'm excited for that.
Me too. I'm sure we will. I feel like we have some other good stuff coming up. So, I mean,
nice. Not
for episodes because we don't know what we're doing yet. But
I know
for movies.
I went with it. That's why I said nice. And I was like, I wonder what she's talking about.
Well, I'm thinking Cuckoo, Nosferatu. You know, we have Cuckoo. Beetlejuice too.
Okay, so we saw the Cuckoo trailer and Steve looked at me kind of like, nah, he's not into it. And I looked at him and my eyes were probably big and I'm like, right up my alley. And he goes, totally right up your alley.
I didn't think that looked good at first until we ended up watching a trailer for it. And I was like, okay, actually, I think this could be fucking great. And that it was kind of giving me like Barbarian vibes and like in the way that it can be like a wild ass movie in the best way. I'm here for that.
I'm here for it too. I'm excited for that. And I think we should do Beetlejuice. Maybe we do both of them on one episode.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can just kind of harken back to some things we liked in the first one and the second one. Because I am really excited to watch Beetlejuice.
Me too.
And that's a horror movie I could watch with TT.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Oh, TT.
Oh, I almost, because we weren't sure our middle-aged daughter was going to be home in time. I'm like, do you think we could bring TT to watch Alien? He goes, no, honey, that face hugger. And I'm like, oh, you're right. No, that wouldn't be good. And then after I watched it, I was like, oh my God. We would have had TT taken away from us at the end of this movie. This was, oh my God, this is too much.
Yeah, this one was no.
Oh man, definitely Beetlejuice.
A firm R rating.
Firm, yes. This is not fucking around.
You know what's funny is right before the birth scene where she gives birth in the cryopod, I was like literally seconds before this, I'm all in my head, wow, this wasn't actually as gory as I thought it was going to be. And then that happens. Like, oh, there it is.
I can't wait for you to watch Immaculate just because I just want you to tell me how disturbed you are now.
I will. I'll keep you updated.
Oh, man. All right, you guys. Well, if you have seen Alien Romulus, please do share your favorite scenes, quotes, or theories on social media using the hashtag 2ChicksHorrorFlick. And while you're there, if you like us, please do give us a follow. And what else, Tawny?
You can support the show by giving us a like, review, and subscribe on whatever podcatcher you're listening to us on. So we'll see you next time. We hope you have such a good night. No nightmares.